What we have in the rotary here is an Orvis Clearwater, a 10-foot 3-weight, a nymphing rod. But what the user or what the person wants to do is put a hook keeper on it because they're new to fishing. And for those of you that know, Orvis doesn't put hook keepers on their rods. I don't know if they don't do it on every rod, but I know the Clearwater series, they don't put hook keepers on there, and I can't find out why. I'm not sure if it's to, save a little bucks, or I can't see that being the reason, but I can't find a valid answer of why they don't put hook keepers on their blanks. So we're going to put one on today. So I have white thread in the tool here, and I was going to wrap white, and then I was going to basically wrap what the best matching color thread I have here, which is kind of a dark green, and I think it'll fit nice with the factory thread that's put on this rod. But I think instead of white, I was going to do white and keep that white going, and then do the rod, or then do the foot of the hook keeper, and then do the foot of the other hook keeper, and then finish in white. But I think that's going to add too much width, too much length on my blank here. So I think what I want to do is butt the hook keeper right against where the thread finishes on the rod right here, and then wrap with my dark green thread on the foot, and then wrap it again on the other side of the foot with the green, and then finish with this white. I think it's going to be like white, green, green, white, and I think that'll come out nice. So I have it all set up here. I'd like to put my hook keepers, right now this is what I would call the 6 o'clock. This is the belly of the rod blank. So I like to put my hook keepers at about the 4 or 5 o'clock. So like I said, this is the 6 o'clock right here. And then if I turn it slightly, I'm going to put my hook keeper right on this plane right here, which is about the 4 o'clock on the blank. Okay, so I got my green thread all tensioned up, and what I'm going to do is start the wrap right behind, I guess you want to call it the factory thread finish here. So I'll take one full wrap like this, kind of snug it up, and I'm going to take my thread, put it over itself, and just start to wrap. So that's 5 wraps, and you can see there's gaps in the thread. I'm just going to pack those together. Make sure my thread doesn't wrap over itself. Okay, I think that's the best I'm going to get it. I'm going to come in and cut that tag end. Like so. So I got it wrapped, I got my blank wrapped, and it's sitting as on what I would call the 4 o'clock position. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a lighter and heat up the foot of my hook keeper and place it as close to the thread. And let it stick. So there we are. Now I'm just going to continue to wrap. You can see there's a little bit of gaps in the thread, but I'll give it a couple more wraps, and then I'll pack that thread with my fingernail just to keep it just so you don't see any of the blank itself. Alright, so I got that wrapped up a little bit. I'm gonna pack that thread a little bit better, but I'm just gonna come in with a different piece of thread and I'm gonna finish that wrap off. So what you do is you take a different color piece of thread and wrap it. Basically put the open loop facing the side you're wrapping. Give it a couple turns, finish your wrap. There, that's about right at the base of the hook keeper. And then basically put your thumb, put pressure, come in with a razor blade or a knife, cut your wrapping colored thread, feed it through that loop, pull of what I call the tag end so it doesn't come unwrapped, and then basically what you're going to do is pull your thread through itself with the loop of the other piece of thread. And I like to pull just a little bit, about, oh, see, that was a little too much. Now, so what I'm going to do there, it's not nothing major, but I like just to pull a little bit of this thread, because then you're not pulling all of this through. You're just pulling a little bit through the wrap you just made. It's not crucial, but one of the it helps in not keeping the seat, keeping the thread where it is instead of pulling against itself. So just give it a quick tug. There you go. Now I'll come in with my burnishing tool and I'll just smooth that thread out, flatten it. There you go. There is one side of a hook keeper. Now when the thread's a little off color, but I think once I put my epoxy coat, my thread finish on there, it's going to darken like this color. So off camera, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap these next two, because I'm doing this behind the camera. It's kind of tough to see. I hope that thread's laying even. I'll know once I get closer and look, but I'll do this other part off camera and come back and show you. Alright, so there we are. We have it all wrapped. I think it turned out alright. Just the white and the, you know, your white accent here and then your white accent at the end. You can see the little tabs on the thread. I come in with a, I hit in with a lighter for, you know, just to burn the ends a little bit. And then I come in with pair of, then I just come on with a pair of nail clippers and I'll clip them off. And these clippers are a little dull, but you get the idea. But there you go. So I'll come back in, I'll mix up a coat of thread finish and come in and add it to it, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Alright, so basically now what I'm going to do is, I use Pro Coat, just thread finish. There's a part A and a part B, and I have a little medicine cup here that I use to mix my A and B parts together. They come with these little syringes, so you know, you have the ability to measure out very accurately your part A and B mix. So I'll just take it at the 1. This is milliliters. I'll take them both to 1 milliliter because even 1 milliliter is a lot, but I'd rather have more to mix, because mixing in these little medicine cups, you only doing a little, it makes it hard. Only mixing a little makes it rough. You know, it's hard to mix just that little bit. So I'll just do 1 milliliter of each, A and B, in this little medicine cup. Part 1 and part B, 1 and 1. Okay, I'll set those aside. Put the caps back on. And then I do have a hair dryer handy, because it is the summertime and I don't have the heat on. But this stuff, you want it to mix, you want it to get runny. So usually heating it up with a hair dryer will make it run more, and that's what you want. So I'll go ahead and heat this up with a hair dryer while I'm mixing, and then I'll mix this for about 3 minutes, and then I'll pour it onto this, little foil, just a piece of foil kind of cupped in a bowl, and I'll start the video back up once I'm completely mixed with this. Now, another thing, I don't know if you can see, but you don't want air bubbles in here, because it makes it harder. It's going to make it hard to wrap. Your thread finish is going to have air bubbles in it, so your thread's going to have air bubbles in it. So that's, again, where the heat comes into play. It'll pop all those air bubbles, and it makes it for a nice smooth finish. Alright, so I have all the air bubbles out of it, and it's heated. It's only 66 degrees in my shop, but I've been hitting this with the hair dryer on high for a little bit. You can see how it pours out just consistently, less than syrup, but less consistency than syrup, but not as much as water. So there we go. Now I have that. I'm going to come in and wrap the thread. Alright, so I'm going to plug in my rod dryer. Turn that on. Now I like to wrap the rod spinning clockwise. So I like to wrap clockwise. I come here with my foil. I just have a regular paintbrush, a kid's paintbrush. Make sure everything's square. I want the blank turning evenly. So I'll just come in now with a little bit of my thread finish. Brush it in. I will have to apply a couple coats, because I need to come up the thickness of the epoxy that was already on this blank. So I'm going to apply this first coat and probably do at least another, if not another 2, but that all depends on how this first coat dries and how thick it is when it sets up. That'll tell me how much epoxy I'll need to add on my other coats, because this will suck into the thread. It's going to suck in and it's going to disperse, but I want it to lay flat against the already finished section of the rod. So I'll go ahead. You saw me apply the first coat. I'll let this go for at least 24 hours, do another coat, and then I'll come back and show you the end result. So there we are. There's the finished product. 2 coats of epoxy and hook keeper set. The only downfall is the thread color kind of darkened up on me from the original. I had it trying to match it really well, but here's the thread color right here that I was going for to match. And looking at it, it looks the same. Shade, but it did dry a little bit darker. But what are you going to do? I can't take it off now. So there you go. Just a little neat project for adding a hook keeper on to an already finished rod.